Hallo, hi Freunde der langweiligen Büroarbeit und herzlich willkommen zu der ersten Folge meines neuen Let's Plays des Stanley Parable. Ja, ich habe über dieses Spiel schon einiges, also ein bisschen was im Internet rausgefunden und es war sehr interessant, das merkwürdiges Spiel, wo du wen spielst, wo du eigentlich nicht wen spielst und der Orders kriegt, der eigentlich keine Orders kriegt und so. Ich kann das nicht gut erklären, ich habe das, wie gesagt, kurz einen kleinen Sneak Peek reingekriegt in das Spiel, aber so viel weiß ich jetzt auch nicht. Aber ich freue mich mega auf das Spiel, es wird, glaube ich, sehr interessant und, naja, aber ich will euch ja nicht auf die Folter spannen. Das ist aber cool hier, dass man seinen Screen, also dieses immerwährende, ich weiß das Wort dafür nicht, sogar mit dem Fraps-Aufnahmeding rumrecht. Schön. Naja, gut, dann starten wir doch einfach mal und gucken, was dieses Game uns zu bieten hat. Ich bin sehr gespannt. Sehr gespannt.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
Scheint der spannendste
Though he
Job
had
der
been
Welt
made
zu sein.
exactly
What?
for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Sorry wegen den zwei kleinen Lecks da, ich weiß auch nicht, was da los war, aber what is happening? Das ist, ich meine, der Typ erzählt und wir machen das, was er erzählt, aber okay, gucken wir mal. Ah, okay, mit Linksklick kann ich also meine Actions machen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ich habe den PC ausgemacht. Ne, hier ist wirklich niemand. Türen kriege ich auch nicht auf. Okay. Noch mehr PCs ausmachen. Diese Musik im Hintergrund ist einfach schon creepy enough. Hier rein? Nope. Also anscheinend gibt es auch nicht viele Controls in diesem Spiel. Alles ist zu hier.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wow, okay. Nun wird es hier spannend. Ich kann auch nicht mehr zurück, ne? Nein. Der Erzähler sagt, wir sollen links gehen, aber es gibt eine Möglichkeit, rechts zu gehen. Machen wir es wirklich? Na gut, komm.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ja, das war mein Plan. Ab zum Pausenraum. Ich kriege hier nichts auf. Absolut gar nichts geht hier auf. Was nicht auf ist, ist nicht auf.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Vor allem der Linksklick.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Entspann dich mal. Ich will nur gucken. Vor allem, das Coole ist... Wow.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Danke, hier drin bleibt, ist so... Ja, erzählt ja Mist. Vor allem, der Linksklick ist ein Tastaturenklick.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
What the fuck? Boah, Alter, ich bin gerade voll am hier Gänsehaut und so. Ich will wissen, was passiert, wenn ich hier weiter stehe. Kommt da irgendwas oder kommt da nichts mehr? Ah, ich sollte weitergehen, glaube ich. Aber schade, ne, es kommt doch keine Nachricht mehr. Okay, gehen wir weiter.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Wow, ihr habt schon wieder die Möglichkeit, links und geradeaus. Alter, das sieht so creepy aus, als wäre irgendwas passiert. Oh. Ja, komm, nö.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Das ist so cool einfach, diese Erzählung, was ich machen soll, aber dann nicht mache und dann mache ich was anderes und ich weiß nicht, was passiert. Boah.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Wie, was?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Boah, ist das creepy! Oh, I'm gonna freak out. Diese schwarze Tür da vorne und ich muss da rein. Let's do it. Fuck. Ah! Wow.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Ich kann nicht zurück. Okay, let's do it. I pick up the phone. Boah, ey, ist das creepy. Wo bin ich jetzt?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha.
Alter,
Oh, come
Schwede.
on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Wow, ich muss noch nicht mehr reingehen. Okay. Okay. Das ist mir... Nee, ich gehe woanders hin.
Sorry,
Whoa.
but you're in my story now.
Alter, hat mich das erschreckt. Scheiße. Boah. Da ist es mir echt hochgerast durch den ganzen Körper. Kein Witz gerade. Ich nehme übrigens um 2 Uhr morgens auf. Also ich meine, das ist nicht gerade gut. Alter, war das erschreckend. Okay, ich gehe rein.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
What? Nö, sehe ich nicht ein. Irgendwie, ich habe wohl keine Wahl.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him. Every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there. Pushing buttons. Doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. No, he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Nee, ich will nicht mehr drücken. Er sagt die ganze Zeit, ich bin nur so ein armer Fellow, der die ganze Buttons drückt. Ich sehe das nicht ein, nö. Andere Buttons drücken bringt mir leider auch nichts. Ich kann mich überhaupt doch. Okay, ein bisschen. Nö, sehe ich nicht ein. Nö. Okay.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
What? Zeit mit den Kindern verbringen? What?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice.
This is so
It barely
creepy.
even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Bereit mir zusammen, das ist ein Folge, ich glaube, keine
As he
Wahl.
wandered through
Whoa.
this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Oh, ist das creepy.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Gehen wir pennen.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Nö, ich stelle alles in Frage. Ich habe das gerade nur gedrückt, weil er gesagt hat, ich soll es nicht tun und die ganze Zeit hat er mir gesagt, was ich zu tun habe. Nö, ich stelle das nicht in Frage, nö. Also ich stelle was in Frage. Ich stelle was in Frage. Realisierst du das? Ich stelle was in Frage. Kann ich hier... Nein? Nee. Wenn ich lange genug warte, passiert dann irgendwas? Ich sehe das nicht ein. Sorry, man. Sorry. Boah, es ist... Wow, die Uhr funktioniert sogar. Was ist da los? Hallo, ich sehe es nicht ein. Stehst du mich nicht? Boah, Alter, ich sollte das nicht um 2 Uhr nachts spielen. Ich... Wirklich. Ich habe keine Wahl. Okay.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
What?
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I
Alter, das ist... Boah. Ich hab... Alter, ist das creepy! Ich Ich komme da nicht drauf klar. Bitte stirb. Und jetzt sind wir wieder am Anfang. Wieder in unserem Office. Alter, ist das... Boah. Okay. Wir haben keine Wahl.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ich weiß ja, dass es ja alles zu ist. Ist quasi völlig egal, was ich drücke. Alles macht das aus. Wow, wow. Input received. Nein, ich kann nichts drücken. Der ist aus. Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wenn ich jetzt nochmal rechts gehe.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Okay, also es ist einfach genau dasselbe passiert jetzt. Boah. Ich bin ein bisschen geflasht gerade, deswegen.
Wow. Yes, this
Okay,
room.
let's go.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
What? What? Oh, okay. Das heißt, wir haben quasi die linke Tür jetzt genommen. Okay. Boah, it's freaking me out.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Gut, Meeting Room, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Do not alter without consulting Whiteboard Manager. Aha, okay. Was haben wir hier? Targets. Push funding, get Chris out of the room. Close it. Papers are to fire paper guy. Hire somebody to fire the papers. What? Who moved my desk? Please keep the targets for topic of. Okay. Was haben wir hier? Alles klar. Interessant. Number of slides and slide. Slide. Charts and slide. Charts. Slides. Rate the charts in the same. Kann ich das ändern? Nee. Aha. Was haben wir hier? What do people want? Things, money, more money, things, but with money to buy more things? Haha! Die Leute, die hier arbeiten, wissen Bescheid. Aha, okay. Ja, ich meine, scheint eine ganz coole Firma zu sein. We need, but I think that's a studio idea. More watercolors, heaters. Also gut, das sind ein paar Trolls hier. Kann das sein? Okay. Wow. Ich könnte es öffnen.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Irgendwas nehmen oder so? No. Naja, ich konnte eine Tür öffnen, das ist doch schon mal was.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich würde ja jetzt runtergehen, einfach weil, aber ich bin so scared. Boah, ich scheiß mir gleich in die Hosen. Ich gehe runter. Ich gehe runter.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him
Alter,
wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
What?
And what it thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams. The truth was that, of course, this wasn't a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control. That this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Oh Gott,
he felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of the world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
Alter.
Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Alter, ich kann
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Alter, was passiert hier gerade? Was ist das? Was ist hier los? Hä? What? Okay. Okay. Das ist sowas von creepy. Alter. Okay, okay. Okay, ich weiß. Es gab in dieser Episode ein paar Lags und ich weiß nicht warum, also ab und zu sind meine Frames für sich mega gedroppt. Ich hatte kurz überlegt, das kannst du ja dann nicht hochladen, aber das war so stunning. Und wenn ich das nochmal aufnehme, wenn es besser funktioniert, dann weiß ich ja schon, was passiert und so, deswegen lasse ich es. Boah, wie gesagt, ich beende jetzt hier die Episode, es sind sowieso schon über 25 Minuten und ich kann nicht mehr. Ich freak hier gerade out und meine Surroundings sind auch gerade irgendwie crazy. Ich mache jetzt hier einen Break. Danke fürs Zuschauen an alle. Und ja, ich hoffe, euch gefällt dieses Spiel. Und ich weiß nicht, ob ihr auch so mindblown seid wie ich, aber ich bin einfach fertig mit der Welt gerade, wirklich. Naja, ich hau jetzt ab. Ich gehe ins Bett. Ja, geh weg. Einfach so. Okay, Leute, macht Idiot, schwenkt der Hoot.